Thanks for giving up some time today and letting me film. We really appreciate it. I know that you had Tourette's very mildly as a child, or to the point where it didn't trouble you too much. What made it change to something that really impacted on your life?
Oh, yeah. The question about Tourette's did come up back in the 60s, early 60s, and was discounted because I didn't go honk. But I was just riding my motorbike to work one day, and I felt that there was, the ground shook, and I noticed everyone else kept on driving, and I thought, well, that's odd. And anyway, when I got there, no one else had felt it, so I thought, oh, that's a peculiar thing. I felt something.
Yeah.
Everything shook.
Yes.
And I had been told by 2 students with Tourette's that they thought I had a mild form of it, with lots of different tics, and
it all changed that day.
well, it did, but there was a lot of stress.
So it was a difficult time, and you were working at Deakin University at that stage, weren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how has your life changed since that day? What's happened as a result of the change with your Tourette? Were you able to keep working?
No.
It was just too difficult?
Well, people's perception, even though at the time it wasn't like it is today, you still get the odd.
Yes, odd looks.
Label.
Yeah.
And you get people who are quite some are quite offended, some sort of think, oh, that's quirky, and don't worry about it. But
yes.
you get a whole spectrum.
Yes.
Of reactions. But
and you mentioned too that the beach felt like an alien place. Why is that? Why was the beach difficult?
Okay, it was just very bright. There's a lot of reflected light off the sand. There's reflected light off the water. We have 5 kids, and you knew that you should be down in the water there with them. You should
be playing,
participating, and that. But I'd actually go into the sun shelter, and dark glasses on, and.
So you were light sensitive.
Yeah.
And you'd always been light sensitive, I'm assuming, or had that become worse?
Yeah. It's I was never any good at cleaning the windows. I couldn't.
The glare.
Too much glare. And at school, I'd go to the dark side of the
classroom,
the window, and my office, I had the luxury of not having to share an office because I liked it darker. Everyone else gravitated to light-filled rooms. Yeah.
And so obviously after all this change you probably tried a lot of therapies and lots of doctor's visits and a whole host of things over time. And what brought you to Irlen? Is it that you knew you were light sensitive and thought, look, this might work, or was it purely that you were there with your son one day?
Yes. We did the neurologists and psychologists and psychiatrists, and we did work cover things you have to do as you're told, but the medications just sent me to bed basically. That was a new one. Sorry, that was a new tick.
If you put your glasses on, Greg, would that help settle the tics down?
Shivers. We had my son Lindsay to yourself, and his reading was improved greatly, enormously, with the Irlen lenses he had at the time, which I think were Blue, I'm not sure.
Yes, he's been in that area.
But and we were heading back to the railway station. We weren't driving because the traffic was too busy in Melbourne. And heading back to the railway station, and you rang us actually and said, I want to test you. Or you said to Gabriel, I want to test Greg. And I was pretty reluctant. Been through a lot of tests.
Various things. Yeah.
And, you know, it's a whole lot more comfortable to just stay in the environment you're used to. But anyway, we went along, and I think every time you gave me some new lenses to put up, my recollection of it, and Lindsay's recollection, is that I screamed.
Yes, you were slapping your shoulder and arcing. You said it was like, you described it that each time I'd put a colour in front of your eyes, it was like an electric shock. Yeah. And it was quite painful and exhausting, the assessment. Yeah, you did well. That's what I remember. Yeah.
And I'm not sure how far through it, but I remember you saying, when I wanted to cease it, you said, no, there are only 6 or 7 left. And put one on, and in my head I just counted to 30, sort of as in 1, 2, 3, so not fast. And I remember holding them up and saying after 30 that, oh, that's pretty conclusive, isn't it?
You weren't ticking.
It just stopped. And the thing is, it was a pretty bright room, and there's quite a lot of red around, and red
triggers your tics a bit, doesn't it?
The tics.
Yes.
That end of the colour spectrum, yeah, which I guess ties in the yellows. And
yes, all the warm colours, which is why I've got cool colours in your lenses.
Yeah, and it is starting to slow down, believe it or not. It takes a few minutes, but it really does make a difference.
I've noticed since you've put the lenses on, your body seems to be calming, the tics are reducing.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit easier.
Yeah.
And so what have the changes been? You've had lenses now for a year or two. What have you noticed? Well, firstly, when you got them, what did you notice?
Okay. The world was kind of brighter. I don't mean visually there. I just mean it
was easier.
Yeah. It was more fluid. Instead of a rocky road, it was kind of fluid. We went camping down Erie's Inlet with some friends down there who are in the surf all the time, and I remember going. Everyone was a bit sceptical about my sort of teal green glasses, as they were at the time, but I put them on, and the beach was wonderful. I remember just sort of thinking, wow. And funnily enough, it gave a certain amount of 3 dimensions back too.
You got depth again.
Yeah. And I remember just going for a walk as far off to the right down towards Lawn as I could go. Which I'd have
been in your sun hut in years gone by.
And I just walked off, and everyone said, "Oh, where's Greg? Where's Greg?" But I'd gone for
a walk.
I was out in the surf up to about here, and having to bounce over the waves with the glasses on, hoping they didn't get washed off, because I wouldn't have seen them in the water. But it was quite incredible, and I remember actually it quieted my tics down that much that I was then able to start driving around Geelong again. Before that, I think the last time I tried driving, I got onto Torquay Road and bailed out and handed the keys to my friend Con, and the one I gave the motorbike to, and didn't drive again, but look at that.
They're fairly still, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I am able to drive.
And so those were the initial changes, and then over the year or two, have you noticed any further improvement or changes, or has it stayed the same throughout?
It does change. They're certainly quietened off. my family, my friends, when I start ticking, I don't like wearing dark glasses talking to people, so you tend to do that.
And then you get that.
I get told pretty quickly to put your glasses on. Dad, put your glasses on, Greg. And it quietens down.
Well, Greg, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that the Irlen lenses have given you a bit of relief and settled the tics down a bit.
Yeah, I shouldn't have played that video.
Yes, in your head it's got you going. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Thank you. But they're certainly quietened off. My family, my friends, when I start ticking, I don't like wearing dark glasses talking to people, so you tend to do that.
And then you get that.
I get told pretty quickly to put your glasses on. Dad, put your glasses on, Greg. And it quietens down. And you know, so the people close by are used to it. I still can't quite manage going to supermarkets and things and going through the checkout. Yeah, thinking negatively here, playing a video in the head. Yeah, going through the checkout, it's all a bit bright and a bit closed in, and the poor girls at the register sort of start getting a bit nervous. Well, what have I got here? Is he dangerous?
Because you've got your Irlen lenses on and they're dark.
Well,
yeah.
Because I'm ticking.
Oh, I
just
see.
Because of
the lights there set you up.
And that, and you know, you try real hard not to say get nodded. But yeah, walk out into the car park and.
Yeah, and all the tics come. Yeah.
But and that just takes a bit of getting used to.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Greg. Really appreciate you gave up your time today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for showing interest in the first place. And if you hadn't made that phone call, I'd still be, yeah.
Dealing with all the tics. You've had your lenses off for a minute and they're going like mad.
Yeah, no, look, but they really have been life-changing. And my daughter, who was working in town, came across some people who actually had Irlen lenses as well with Tourette's, because my kids pick up the tics.
Yes.
And they've all gone, oh, you know, they work. They work. So thank you very much for showing interest.
Our pleasure. Thanks, Greg.